need it. So I'm going to stop talking now and we're going to hand over to Agvila. Over to you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So today we will talk about portfolio workshops, and we will cover things such as what courses actually in Middlesex require portfolio and interviews. We will also talk about what type of questions you would want to prepare for these interviews, and we will also discuss what is the format of the portfolio, what is the content, and how can we get you inspired, and what work you want to have into your portfolio for different courses. And we will also give some tips how to present your portfolio. And lastly, but not the least, we will also discuss how graduates exhibit their work, and also some career and employability support from the Middlesex University. Yeah, thank you. So yeah, firstly, we will cover, so what courses at Middlesex actually require portfolio and interviews. So these would include, thank you, next, Sophia. These would include courses such as animation, 3D animation in games, fashion communication and styling. So every fashion and design, fashion and textile, 3D design foundation, visual arts foundation, as well as interior architecture, interior design, photography, graphic design, illustration, and fine arts. So basically all the courses, including arts and design. Thank you.
So talking about the interview, this year all students will be interviewed via Zoom with a tutor from the course you have applied to. You should think about it as a chat about your work rather than an interview. Also, I'm not sure about all the courses, but me and Aquila sometimes are on the graphic design course interviews, and we usually just have a chat with the students who are waiting for the interview. We also share our experience and answer any questions that the students might have. So I'm pretty sure it works similar in other interviews too. So prepare some questions before the interview because we want to make sure that you have an understanding of the particular course you are applying to. Next slide. Even though the interviews are quite simple, there are a few questions you may want to prepare for. Firstly, you should have a clear reason for why you have chosen that particular course. Why have you applied to Middlesex for the chosen course, and what are your interests? Also, it might be helpful to get to know more about the university on Middlesex virtual events, have a virtual campus tour or chat to students via UniBuddy. From my experience, I applied to Middlesex from another country. So honestly, I did all of those things as I couldn't go to London, but I actually got to know everything what I wanted to know online. Yes, that's it.
Okay, so we're going to quickly focus on the format of your portfolio, as actually this is one of the kind of most important things to do. You want to be able to pull together content that's actually going to showcase and make you stand out. So there's 3 top tips that we've got for you. Number 1 is we encourage you to choose a layout and format for whatever style portfolio suits your work. So actually think about the bits of work that you want to put forward and then choose your portfolio style based off of that. Number 2 is that depending on the content, you may want to look at A1, A2 or A3 style bits of work. This is only for physical portfolios. At MDX, portfolios are being given in digitally, but depending on the university that you apply to, you may be asked to submit a portfolio physically. So these are some of the things that you might need to think about. And also, you can put together a physical portfolio and a digital portfolio, but you need to check with your course on your course page which subjects require both a physical and a digital one, or whether they just require either or. At MDX, it's really easy to find out that information. You just go onto your specific course that you're interested in, and there's a section for whether you need to submit a portfolio and actually how you do that as well. So record your work throughout your study as well, and this can include both educational work and personal work, and this can really be put together in a great way to really shape your portfolio. It's an extension of you, and it's a way that the academics can get to know you. So actually think about adding in both educational work and also any personal work that you've undertaken. So,
and also just to add, of course, in this situation, most of us are doing a digital portfolio. So there is nothing to be worried about. Me personally, I had my portfolio made only digitally just because I came from a different country to study in London. And what I did, my best advice is to, whatever work you have, is just to take pictures with your phone. Just put it in a nice angle, take a picture, and just sort out the pictures in a digital portfolio. And that should be, for most universities, as Sophia as well said, it should be completely fine. Even if you don't have a physical one, you can always showcase your work in a digital one as well.
Absolutely, and there's tons of help on hand as well. Our academics, we want you to come to the university. They're not trying to trick you. They're not trying to, kind of see that you don't do well. So there are, as well as students on Unibuddy, sometimes our academic staff will be on Unibuddy, as well as admission staff. And actually, you can ask them questions about anything to do with your application, and also, any tips or information that you want around this portfolio. Definitely speak to students about it, people that have previously gone through exactly the same thing as you, and just, if you've got any questions or worries or anything like that, you can always ask them. But it's not something that you should be worried about, because it's all of your great work. So these are things that you should be really proud of, and actually it's a really nice exercise to be able to put together all of the things that you enjoy, or that you've enjoyed making, into one portfolio to showcase everything that you've got. So onto the content of the portfolio. Actually, we want you to be looking at your best work. So that's for you to decide what you think is the best things that you've undertaken so far, and actually originals where possible. So this does apply to things like a physical portfolio, but if you are making a digital portfolio, then you can take pictures of your originals and place them into that sort of format. Do you have any tips, Akvila or Evelina?
In the sense of, like you just said, best work. So this was the best advice, that whatever you think is the best and you think that showcases your passion for arts or passion for a particular course, just put it in there. Of course, validate if it suits your course, but most of the things still show that you are a creative person, even if it's drawing or if it's something even handmade or made 3D, and everything showcases your passion for creative subject. So, and with the originals, yes, that was also the same advice. To whatever you do, just take a pictures, and pictures usually showcase every angle of your project, and that suits every portfolio. So in this one, it's also a similar thing that you want to show your creativity from different angles, whether it's just in a form of exploring. So it means that it can be also sketches and drawings and just a process of a project, because that also shows how dedicated you are to the project, or how do you think while making the final design pieces. So every aspect of it, even if it is just in the middle of exploration in your project, or developing your project, is also very interesting to show in a portfolio. And we will see a bit of more examples later on, with some visual examples as well.
Great, thank you. So we've got some tips on presenting your work. I do have to apologise, my internet is a bit slow, but I'm just going to play this video. We've got, I think it's 10 top tips for creating the perfect portfolio that will hopefully help you out. Amazing. So I think one of the most important things out of there was that actually your portfolio should be full of work that you are proud of, and we recommend 20 pieces maximum. So it can be quite difficult to actually narrow that down, but we can ask our wonderful SLAs actually how they would recommend to cut things down at the end in the Q&A. Anyone that's raised their hand, unfortunately you can't unmute your mic, so if you just pop us a question in the Q&A, then we'll get back to you.
So I might repeat some things from the video, but there's a few more tips for presenting your portfolio. It is always better if you display your work neatly against a white background. I guess it could be any other neutral color too. However, make sure that it doesn't distract from your artwork. So all the emphasis would be on your work. Also, try to give your images plenty of space and don't overcrowd them, so your ideas and images would be clear. It is important that you include your sketchbooks or process of your work, and you could do it by scanning a number of sketchbook pages or taking a few pictures of them. Usually students bring their sketchbooks in person. However, since it is digital, it is recommended for you to try to choose your favorite sketches rather than scanning everything, because that would probably be too much. So you should just have a few pages. Avoid including too much text. The tutors usually are more interested in the small captions and project titles, so everything has to be kind of straightforward. Also, you could include how your artwork was made. So, for example, it could say it's a painting and it's made with oil paints. Your 3D artwork can be photographed against a neutral backdrop, and your large 2D work can be photographed or scanned and reduced to fit in your portfolio. Next slide. Your portfolio should represent you, your interests, your way of doing things, and your ambitions. Your portfolio can cover a range of subjects, such as typography, layout, photography, live drawings, illustrations, printmaking, animations, and so on. For example, I applied to graphic design. However, I included typography, photography, illustrations, paintings, and portraits, as I came from art background. However, like I said, the tutors are really interested in the way you are thinking and doing things. So it is a good way to show off your skills. However, you always have to include at least one piece of work that shows a skill in the course you have applied for. Not everything needs to be finished, as they are also interested to see your development work, in which you could show your ideas in visual research. Also, you can include work that shows you can respond to a brief.
So just like Evelina said now, I also saw one of the Q&A questions, and it actually really relies on these slides that someone asked if they want to apply for graphic design and if they should have only graphic design work, even though if they have experience in fine arts. So just like we said, you know, you should, we even encourage you to include your fine arts pieces, just because it shows how, you know, that you're passionate about arts in general, and that shows you can be good at graphic design as well. Fine arts can be one of the things you can also do in graphic design. You can always use your experience from before. In my case, I had interior design. So in my first portfolio, in the interview, I actually presented quite many things from interior design, but you can think about it as presenting it in a way of, let's say, graphic design. So I took just a few pieces from interior design and placed it with some typography, so it also applied for graphic design. And in these examples here, you can see some of the students' work, and they have different definitions. Also some work like print, it can be screen prints, it can be some kind of traditional design pieces that you already did in your previous years, and you just have them. And I think so diverse design and art pieces should go in the portfolio. You can see also drawings on the right side. Also some even sketch drawings or live drawings where they are almost undergoing the process. And just like Evelina said, you can include these as well, just because it shows your process and how do you get to the final work or final designs. You can see also paintings here, a bit more graphics, collage, photography, ceramics. All of these things are still one way or another design, and it is our direction. So whether you are you want to study graphic design, fashion, or any other type of art course, you can definitely include any of these named pieces to your portfolio. And again, just to mention again that if you don't have, let's say you want to study fashion or graphic design, if you think that you don't have any relevant projects, you can always do some side projects on your own. You can make up a brand or redesign a brand logo, do some layouts on paper, almost like imagining that you're doing a leaflet or a magazine page. Everything like that also counts as your side projects, and it just showcases your experience as well. Next slide, please. Also, like 3D work, in my experience, I had some interior design 3D models, almost like you can see in these little models on the left. So what I did, I also took some pictures and also implemented these into my portfolio, and they actually are valid design pieces that also showcases your passion for the subject and for the course. So you can also definitely put these, and you can see on the right, you can even do it as like a collage of showcasing the whole project, that you are showing the final design, but you're also showing some sketches and process itself. Yes, next slide, please.
Okay, so these are some examples of fashion portfolios, and you will have to excuse me, I'm not an expert on fashion. However, as you can see from this example, there is still, again, a mixture of different products that have been put onto the portfolio. So actually, when you are creating a portfolio for fashion, there are a couple of things that you can think about. So you can add in materials, textures, your drawings, any pictures that you've taken of your own work, or if you are sending in or providing a physical portfolio, if you are able to go in for an interview, you could bring in copies of your own work, photographs of your friends or your family members wearing your designs, your initial rough sketches, as well as mood boards. Any sort of illustration is also helpful, and as I said before, materials are also really helpful to kind of understand how your design will be shaped and kind of bring it to life from the page.
Hi, Sophie. Sorry to interrupt, and I'm sorry for joining this late. I had some connection issues. I work in the fashion department, so I might be able to provide some more detailed guidelines.
That would be fantastic.
In terms of the portfolio. So yes, as Sophie mentioned, and as you can see from the images, If you're applying for textiles or fashion design, this would be some great examples of what you can bring to your interview. However, if you're applying for fashion communications and styling, you're more than welcome to bring other kind of creative work that doesn't necessarily have to be directly connected to fashion. So you can bring some photography, even graphic design, maybe some paintings that you've done. I would say in general, all the fashion courses are more interested in your creativity and problem solving, and also your process in making things. So don't worry too much if you haven't made a full garment, for example. But it would be great to bring some design ideas. Okay, so in terms of sketchbooks, as I mentioned earlier, the process of your work and all the experiments that you do are very, very important, I believe, across all the kind of creative courses. So I would say definitely, if you don't have one, start working on a sketchbook. This doesn't need to be something that you do for school. It can be just something that you do in your kind of free time. So it can be any size, any format that works for you. Next slide, please. So yeah, this is a great, as I said, great way to demonstrate skills. Tutors are generally interested in the process of making things. So as important as the final pieces, it's also crucial that you show your process. Don't be kind of scared or shy to show even some mistakes. It's really important to see how you've had an idea, tried it out, wrote notes or did a few trials in your sketchbook, and then have the final outcome as well. So capture and show your ideas and experimentation, basically. Thank you.
So about careers and employability skills, we offer whatever support our students need, which can also be personalized support to build students' confidence, skills, and experience so that they are ready for life after graduation. This might be finding a graduate job, starting their own business, or continuing their studies. We also have Unitems, which service offers students the option of rewarding, flexible, and enjoyable part-time work, both on and off campus. So for example, me and Aquila are working as SLAs, which means student learning assistants. I also have found some temporary work on Unitems, which was editing videos. So it is a really cool service. There are also more services in the university, such as MDX Works, MDX Cell, and MD Accelerator. Yeah, also our university is the first UK university to be awarded a corporate gold embedded charter marked by Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Specialists, UK Investor in Equality and Diversity.
So this is something that you can get yourself familiar with. This is our creative graduate website. So these are recent graduates from Middlesex who have put together a website to showcase all of their amazing work that they've created whilst they've been a student at Middlesex. So you can find this via our website. Also, lots of our different departments have Instagram pages as well, where we showcase current students' work as well as recent graduates. So you can just kind of get a feel for what you might get up to when you become a student here. It's also a really great way to do some research as well for your portfolios, and just kind of see what the current trends are at the moment. So this is not only just for kind of design and visual arts, but there's also, if you are someone who's wanting to maybe consider another ACI subject or just interested in another arts and creative industry subject, this is a platform to showcase all of that. So that is the end of the presentation, and thank you so much for joining us, and thank you to our student support assistants. Absolutely amazing, really helpful insight as well. And we actually do have quite a few Q&As so that we need to do. There's quite a few questions that have come through under the Q&A. So some of these we might not be able to answer, but I hope some of your experiences will be able to kind of shape these answers. For anyone that's asking when portfolios are due or when you should actually be receiving an email, if you've applied to MDX, you will be receiving emails for your kind of digital interviews and portfolio submissions. If you haven't received anything yet, that's not a problem. It just means that you haven't been invited. If you do want to check though when this will happen, our admissions team are on Unibuddy and they're there until 6:30. So I'd urge you to go over to that chat function and you can just ask your questions there. And this is the same for anyone that has booked on and is getting a message that says there are no available slots. They do normally get refreshed quite quickly, so it may just be that they've released a batch of interviews and they've been snapped up. So again, pop over to Unibuddy, talk to our admissions team, and they will be able to provide you with some more information. We have a few questions around actually, how can you show elements of research within your portfolio? Is anyone wanting to answer that?
Research, you said?
Yeah.
Well, I think about that we mean more a visual research. So that would be your experiments, how you experiment with your visual, with your visual, so with your project. And that might be that you have a set of mood boards or maybe even sketches. Maybe you have tried out the same project that just in a different way and your final outcome looks completely different, but you also maybe had like a second option of it. So all of these are almost like a process of your final work. So it's like a visual research. You can show that just kind of if we're talking about digital portfolio, that is usually now the case. I did it as a few series of pictures just before the page of final work. I added another page before that shows just like some sketches and experiments from the same project. And you just make sure that you are clearly writing like a little, sentence that this is from this project, and maybe in the next page you're again referring to the same project, so it's easy to understand whether this experimentation is from the project that is following after in the next page. So I think you can just like take pictures of your final sketches or from your experiments, or if it's a physical portfolio, you can definitely do what Teodora was talking about, the actual process book or the sketchbook. You can even bring it with you and show it alongside of your portfolio. I hope that answered the question. If anybody wants to add.
Really helpful. So people are asking around this number 20. So is it okay for someone just to explain it's 20 pieces of work and actually how they can best pick their 20 pieces?
I would say you can even have less than that, like 20 is like maximum. So I think you can aim for even less. Again, I'm just saying from my own perspective. Maybe the girls will also tell something else. I think I had even around like 15 pages, and then in these pages you might have a few pages of like we just talked about, research or visual experimentation. Then you have a few pages of your final work, of your work that you're proud of. You can also think of how you put these, like in what sequence you put these pages. Do you want to show, you might want to show the work that you're mostly proud of in the first pages and last pages, so then you capture the attention. And yeah, so I think that 20 is like the maximum of pages, because you don't want to, so you want to make this look interesting and engaging. So just think about when you're talking through your work, 20 pages is like quite a lot to show and quite a lot to talk about. So I think don't overthink like how many, just try to not have like more than 20 pages, have even less, like I say, and focus on whatever you like and best, or what you think showcases your your art side. Have about 10, 15. If you want more, if you have more sketches and more experience, you definitely can have up to like 20.
I would just like to add to Aquila's answer. I mean, yeah, I completely agree with everything that she's mentioned, but also I would say keep in mind kind of diversity when you choose your 20 pages or less than 20 pages. I would say whatever course you're applying for, it's good to see different skills that you have. Just because I work in the fashion department, in terms, just to give you an example, in terms of fashion, you want to have a research page, you want to have maybe a development page of some designs, you want to have a page where you've illustrated something to show your drawing skills. Maybe you have a final garment, so maybe you do that. Whatever course you choose, I mean, maybe you've done some photography, maybe you've done some painting. So I think it's nice to have a mix of things and a mix of stages in your creative process as well.
Great, thank you so much. I'm not sure if anyone would actually be able to answer this, but there was a question around whether somebody could use Keynote to make their portfolio. This may be a question for our admissions team. Don't know if anyone knows. No, okay. So for the person
Keynote, is it like you? I feel like as long as you can export it as a PDF, like as almost like a presentation, like page per page, that should be okay. As long, but again, I'm not sure.
Yeah, this might be something that we can also ask our admissions team. So again, the link to the chat is on the screen right now, and I just pop over there and ask them what sort of kind of way they want to receive the portfolio and whether there's a stipulation on what software you use. In regards to, there's a couple of people who have asked actually about adding captions and kind of text on portfolios, whether that would be allowed or whether we've seen that previously.
I think from kind of my personal experience, I would say captions are fine, especially in research. It shows that you really kind of know your references and you haven't just pulled images from Google Images or something like that. Since we're talking about kind of visual courses, I would say refrain from writing too much. It's fine to have maybe a sentence or two if you want to explain something specifically or annotate things, but I would say try not to kind of write pages of text. It's about communicating with images. So yeah, I don't know if you guys will agree with me.
Definitely. Few sentences.
Great, thank you. We've got a fashion one here. It says, I'm applying for foundation year in fashion. Should I keep my portfolio simple or lean towards a more detailed type of portfolio as it's for the foundation year?
I mean, with Fashion Foundation, you do, as I'm sure you know already, you do explore different, all the different courses that you can progress into. all the different BA fashion courses. However, if you do feel kind of strongly about specific parts of fashion, so let's say you're very interested in fashion, in textiles, it is fine to kind of show that in the portfolio. I would say try to still include some design and maybe some styling or photography. So keep it a bit broader, but I don't think there is an issue with you kind of emphasizing one specific thing that you're very interested in.
Great, thank you. We've also had some questions around needing to study particular subjects in order to join a subject, and you can check on our website whether or not you need to have studied a particular subject or, you know, completed that to a certain grade. But for most of our courses at MDX, you know, we get students coming from a range of different backgrounds, and there isn't a specific requirement to have studied that particular subject, either at A levels, BTEC, or other level 3 requirements, but this is certainly one for you to check on our website. All you need to do is just go to mdx.ac.uk, type in your subject area, and then scroll down to the qualifications that are required, and you'll be able to see what the entry requirements are for your course. Okay, oh, there's another one here actually. Is foundation necessary for entering a BA fashion degree?
Oh, I was just about to type the answer to that, but I can answer live. No, it's not necessary. I personally did an IB program, which is similar to A levels. So I didn't even study fashion specifically. I did fine art. I would just say, as long as you have the skills that are at a certain level, that are required. Maybe you've acquired these skills in your own time. That's absolutely fine. You don't need to have foundation to study BA fashion. But I believe this is with the other courses as well.
Yeah. So there's another one around fashion. What would you like in the sketchbook for fashion? I know we did cover it, but would you mind just repeating?
Yeah, sure. So with sketchbooks for fashion, I think it's really important to focus on the process. So obviously skills, a certain level of skills is required, but I think what is very, very important and what tutors pay really attention to is your thinking process and your problem solving. So make sure to include some research in there, make sure to include development, and as well as final outcomes. As I said, you don't necessarily know how to, you don't need to know how to sew particularly. Maybe but maybe your designs are amazing and you present them in a really nice way. So yeah, I would say don't kind of focus on ticking specific boxes, as long as you show your development and your thinking process. I think that's the most important thing.
Great, thank you so much. For the person that said about not being able to attend interviews in February, you may be able to attend another interview, or you may be able to rearrange or reschedule. It does just depend on the course, and also how full the course gets, so how popular the course is. Again, this is something that you'll need to check with our admissions team. If you have the option to reschedule, then yes, you'll obviously be able to attend if you are able to reschedule for March. But if it is a course that does get full quite quickly, then there may not be the option to go to a later interview. So this is something that you should just check with the admissions team. We have someone here who unfortunately lost a lot of their work. They're asking for advice, really. So they say they've still got quite a lot of 3D work, but they don't have any photographs or kind of any developments. They've done a bit of Photoshop, but what would be your advice on how they can kind of bring that portfolio back?
I would say, I mean, first of all, I'm really sorry this happened to you. I would say you can try to recreate, if it's the development part that you're missing or whatever part you're missing, if you can try to recreate that. Obviously, you don't need to do the whole thing, just maybe the most important bits. Still, since, as I understand, you still have some parts of the work that you can use. Just a little advice as well. I wouldn't mention this in your interview, just because yes, it's always a tricky thing. I mean, it does happen to the best of us, but I would just say try to recreate as much of it as you can, and yeah, just use whatever you have. Maybe you have some other work that you've done, so maybe you can include that as well. Hope this helps.
Yeah, I also think that no, you know, you not necessarily need to show, like, for every project, you don't need to show, at least in graphic design, you can show development and research just for some projects that you think that development and research and experiments were very interesting and you actually had fun with it. You don't need to include research for every project. Some projects can be just your final best work that you want to show for your tutors. So in this case, I agree with Theodora. You might want to at least recreate some of it, or maybe you want to even just do a new one, a new project with new development inspired by your old projects. Just try to, you know, unfortunately, it's especially in our art industry, it does happen even for us that work disappears, and you just try to do your best to showcase what you have. I'm quite sure your 3D work is amazing and you can still take pictures of that one and have a nice portfolio.
Great, thank you. For anyone who wants to know kind of specifically for other courses, what you need to put in your portfolio, we actually have a page on our website. So if you go to your specific subject area and then scroll down to entry requirements, there's a section that will take you to a page which has all information around portfolios and interviews and auditions for all of the arts and creative industry subjects, and then you'll be able to see the tips for your particular area on there. So there's another question, and I think we'll take maybe one or two questions just because I'm conscious of time. So how much development work would you suggest to include? One or two projects, or is it kind of a preference? Just from your experiences being in some of these interviews.
I think it's a preference. I think I only included in mine just like one development because I didn't really know, like I put more of the sketchbooks and like one development. But yeah, it's honestly just preference. You can have your development on each project or just one or two. Like whatever you think is more interesting, or if you worked really hard on it, so you should just include it so they would know that. Or maybe like you experimented more with it, so maybe it's just interesting to know about your development.
Great, thank you. That's probably it for the questions. Someone has asked, what do they ask on an online interview? Without giving too much away, is there anything that you can say?
I mean, just as a general advice, I would say, obviously you will talk about your work and kind of the reason why you applied for the course without going into too much detail. So just, I guess, be prepared to explain, to talk about your work and kind of know why which I'm sure you'll do, why you've chosen the specific course. And yeah, I don't know. That's some advice from me.
I will also add to it. I think you want to, you know, show that you're proud of your work, and even maybe have in mind to have like a project that you think is almost like showing you as a personality. So almost like have your favorite work. If you will be asked, you know, which project represents you the most, you might want to have like a little answer prepared, like which project was the most fun for you to do, or you think was your best work. And yeah, I think you will all do great, and it's nothing to be worried about. Our tutors are super friendly and nice, and they always ask nice questions, and it's quite easy to just have like a nice almost chat conversation with them.
Great, thank you. We've got one more question, but again, I don't know if you'll be able to answer it. If you can, that would be really helpful. But they've said, if I'm not inspired by a designer, as I'm inspired by myself, what should I say in the interview?
Again, I was just about
to just type in. I'm so sorry.
Answer, but yeah, I'm happy to answer live as well. That's perfectly fine. I would say just be prepared to kind of back this statement. So just explain a bit more what inspires you about yourself. Yeah, just basically elaborate a bit on your answer, but that is perfectly fine. I mean, within the course, you will learn that fashion isn't always inspired by fashion. It's more often inspired by a lot of other things that aren't actually fashion. So that's perfectly fine. Yeah, as long as you can back your answer.
Great, thank you so much. I think this has been a really, really informative session, and I hope it's given everyone some good information that you can take forward for your portfolios. As I said, we have a page dedicated on our website for all things portfolio. There's tons of videos as well on our YouTube page. So if you just type in Middlesex University on YouTube, there'll be loads of different videos on there. The admissions team are available now until 6:30, and then every day, well, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 via live chat if you want to ask them any questions about specific interview times or anything about your application. Again, up until 6:30, we've got student finance talk. If you are writing your personal statement, there's a UCAS and personal statement advice talk. And if you are an overseas student and you want to know more, there is a specific chat available for you as well. I'd just like to say thank you so much to our wonderful SLAs. You've been fab and been so informative, and wishing everyone the best of luck. Stay safe and well. And I'm going to end the session there. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And best of luck.